we're going to go ahead and get this started. So I'm going to start the YouTube highlight from right here. And, you know, this is Thursday. This is going to be our tank talk for the week. And, yep, we have our special guest today. Let me just go ahead and show you guys how I actually check these. Okay, so if anybody's interested in going on them, you go to the stream page here. This is what you guys are currently looking at. You scroll down and you click Reddit contest. Oh shit, right? Some pretty in-depth stuff going on here. And then as you can see right here, you know, that's the post. And, you know, you guys can just reply to that. It's got a pretty good following or whatever. If you guys are frequents on Reddit or whatever, you know, feel free to upvote that, since the majority of the Reddit community, or not majority, but literally half of the Reddit community feels like downvoting stuff that I'm trying to do to help the community. You know, this isn't me promoting myself to brag or anything like that. I'm doing this and taking an hour a week to, you know, just sit down with anybody. No restrictions really, as long as they've got the media that is needed. And, you know, we'll go through a lot of stuff, anywhere from vids to logs to screenshots to, you know, you name it. So, surprised it actually doesn't have more upvotes than it does, but such is life, and we'll make it happen. Okay. Okay, good stuff. Let's get this going. All right, so I'm going to be giving this guy a call, and we'll go ahead and be getting it started here. We'll have to deal with the sound volumes and things like that. Yo. Pretty good. Hang on one second. Let me, I think I gotta turn you up. You're pretty low.
Yeah, I got kind of a headset that my guild says is muffled anyway, so it's probably not now.
Oh, it's better than being like a bad headset. At least you sound normal, you know, like.
Well, that's good.
Okay, so we're just gonna do a quick sound test here and make sure things are good to go with this. And as far as the stream goes, let me know how you guys can hear him, if I need to turn him up or down or anything like that, and then we'll go from there. So just go ahead and say a couple things. Just say like test, 1, 2.
Yeah, can you hear me? Can you hear me okay? Like I said, I adjusted the mic, so it should be okay, but I don't know.
Alright, they're saying up more. 1 sec. So I'm going to turn you down and then turn my... Alright, try it one more time.
Alright, testing.
Okay, let's see if that comes back a little better. I turned the XSplit volume up for things like that. And... yeah, can you turn your volume up a little bit? They're saying it's still kind of quiet. I've got you like full. Okay, yeah, just turn it up a little bit, like 50% or something. We'll start with that. Alright, while he's messing with that, I'm going to go ahead and throw you guys his armory in here. This is going to be who we're going with today. I'll let him kind of explain himself, you know, his raid experience and things like that when we get the, you know, the sound quality and all that stuff worked out. But, yeah, so looks like a warrior, and, you know, looks to have a little bit of heroic experience as well, so that's good to go.
Is that any better? Like, couldn't the mic boost up a little bit?
Yeah, it sounds... Okay, cool. Yeah, it sounds louder from me. Hopefully it, weird. Let me see if I can just turn up Skype. Maybe it'll be, okay. Try one more time. I just turned Skype all the way up. It's got ambient noise for me, but we'll see how it works for them. So yeah, just one more test real quick.
The boost might be a little bit too high. I can mess with it if it's still too high.
It sounds fine for me. That's really weird if... Oh, I know what it is. No. Time out. I know what's going on. This is... It's not anything on your end. Hang on. They can't hear you through my Skype. So... Hmm. Let's see. I know what's going on. They can't hear. For some reason my Skype isn't going through the stream right now, and I don't know why. Okay, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you fine.
Okay. 1 second. Let me test something on Mumble. Hey, just trying to get my sound stuff set up real quick. Can one of you guys say something? I want to see if the stream can hear you.
Fuck you, Rig.
Riggin sucks.
Wait, try one more time.
Riggin sucks.
Okay. Let's see. Maybe that fixed it. Boom. Okay.
Is that normal?
Yeah, you should be good now. Okay, yeah, just do it one more time. Like, sorry about all this. Just say,
Oh, that's still drama.
yeah, say.
This is only like the second time I've ever used Skype, so I'm just glad people can hear me. Period.
Okay, cool. Yeah, it's working. I guess it was some reason. I don't know. It's really weird. Like whenever, that's why I always ask about sound when I turn it on. Is just because when I switch back and forth between XSplit, Skype, and Mumble, I don't know. It just some shit always end up changing. So that's why I kind of like got to do a sound test every time I start the stream. But either way, it only took a couple
Skype
minutes.
does that to me with my vent too. It just kills the sound after I load it up. I have to close everything out.
Okay. Nonetheless, we got it going. So good stuff. And let's go ahead and get this kicking. So we'll just start it out with, we'll get your armory up here on the main screen, and then we'll, just let you introduce yourself. Like your name, where you're from or whatever, if you want to throw that in there, and then just kind of a little bit about your rating history and stuff like that.
Yeah, my name's Hayden. Actually, I was born in a small little town called Torrington, Wyoming. I currently reside in Washington, D.C. right now. I work for the United States Marshal Service. I play a protection warrior named Wrennardx. It's actually my second tune, so I added an X at the end. I used to be a big DAOC PvP guy. A couple of friends and I, one friend actually, we saw when DAOC was burning out, we saw the Black Temple little patch that they had come out on YouTube, and we were like, hey, let's do that. It looks like a cool game. And it took me a while to realize that when you get into the game, you don't get to go to Black Temple. Like, oh, yeah. Sweet. I'm in. When do I get to do that? Oh, 2 years. Okay, that's cool, I guess. We started a little guild. Basically a couple of our friends came over, just doing 5-mans all the way up through Karazhan. I've always been in the same raiding guild, actually. We went all the way through Karazhan. My server's really young. It came out right at the time Burning Crusade did. But by the end of BC, we cleared everything up. We had Entropidus to 40%. Kind of morphed into a more serious guild. Never top 50 US or anything like that, but just a group of people that we're focused when we do it, and it's got a real kind of family atmosphere, which is pretty cool. Right now we're currently 6 of 8 heroic. My warrior's always been my main, really. I leveled up a paladin first, but my warrior's been my main. This last couple tiers I've gotten more into the druid, and I really kind of like the druid as well. It's my other real geared tune. The DK, I've messed with it a little bit. It's way different. I really like it. I like the proactive parts of it and being reactionary as well as just to kind of predicting what's going to happen. But I'm not very good at it really yet. And I have a paladin as well. But I've got pretty much every class.
Oh, no. That's crazy. So you got pretty much dabble a little bit in all the tank classes as well?
Yeah. We haven't ever reached that point where we're switching out people per progression fight or anything like that, but that flexibility I've come to understand is huge. Being able to do 1 or 2 characters is just awesome.
Yeah.
It makes such a difference.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. So what was some of the reasons that you ended up switching from your paladin to a warrior, just out of curiosity?
Well, the paladin was just my first tune. I leveled up with a hunter friend, and we got up, and we didn't really realize what we were doing, and once we got to 70 in BC, we're like, hell, we want to raid, and it was before paladins were actually kind of established, right, where if you wanted to be a tank, you were pretty much a warrior or a druid.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the idea of a gnome warrior. I thought that was really cool, and I'm usually a gnome. For progression, I've been messing around with Night Elf just because of the 2% chance to miss. But the switch was just because I wanted to tank, really. I wanted to tank, and I wanted to raid lead, and that was something I wanted to do. So.
Nice. Okay, gotcha. So, I was just looking at what you said. I mean, you've had been playing a warrior for a while. What are some of the things that you've enjoyed the most, or really about this. Let's just take this tier in specific. I mean, how do you, or not necessarily enjoy it? I mean, just what are some of your thoughts on the warrior tank this tier?
Well, obviously there's been some deficiencies like Yorsage and that kind of stuff. I think they've done a pretty good job in balancing everything, really. It's not, it hasn't been bad. I've really enjoyed the whole tier. We're working on spine right now, and I love the fact that I can use a warrior's mobility and kind of think next step ahead. Also, some of the raid utility that's really just kind of, that people don't even talk about, really. Like safeguard and that kind of stuff. So many people just kind of downplay that. And it's just, that's such just a badass cooldown that you can use. I mean, it's 20% uptime with 30% mitigation. So, I mean, again, there's some fights that the Warriors falling behind a little bit, but that's just how it goes. You know, you can't have every fight with all 4 tanks doing the exact same thing.
Yep.
So the addition of 4 pieces is pretty badass, too. That kind of gave everybody that ability to help out, too.
Yeah, raid utility. Yeah, definitely. I agree with that, too. I mean, I just really hope that, I don't know, I'm with you there. I really like what they did with the 4 pieces this tier, just on all the tank classes, because that added raid utility across the board was just really strong, you know. And it, I don't know, it just added a lot more to the only thing I really guess I didn't like about it was for the guilds that are pressing on week 1, if you didn't have 4-piece, it was a big deal, you know what I mean? Like, and it was really annoying that, you know, I almost didn't have 4-piece going into week 1, and that was going to be like a showstopper, you know what I mean? Like, especially when I couldn't imagine of doing Traxian without me having 4-piece, you know what I mean? It would have been pretty brutal. But we ended up getting it out of LFR, my last piece, and then going from there.
I still have the LFR helm, actually. I'm wearing, like, the one from Bale Rock because I can't get, you know, the new one to drop. But we did the same kind of thing. Like I said, we're not a hardcore guild or anything, but we went in and I split us up for the first raid week, and we did LFR with half tunes, half mains, and that made such a big deal, such a big difference. Even if you're going from 391 to 384 gear, it was just so much better.
What would you say is your favorite fight this tier overall?
You know, I'm really liking Spine. We haven't killed it, but I just like fights where you're able to kind of think outside the box, really, and where your own personal just performance really affects what's going on. I mean, there's plenty of fights like Zanaz and stuff like that where healers get a shine and that kind of thing, and I think it's, like, I really like Spine. It's tough, it's intense, it's disciplined, which I love about the fight. Like, it all comes down to focus. If everybody can trim correctly, burst correctly, target the right thing. I mean, Spine is just a fun fight. I liked Blackhorn as well because of all the mobility stuff.
Oh, yeah, I bet you did on the Warrior. That was probably pretty nice. It's just like, oh, I want to go over here, let me intervene. All right, I'm going to heroic leap over here.
Exactly, I'll jump. There you go. No, intervene and charge back and forth.
Yeah. Meanwhile, in the DK camp, I'm just like, yeah, that's cool.
You can soak something with a shield if it's close to you, right?
Yeah.
Anti-magic zone power.
But no, I share your sentiments as far as like things that you appreciate about Spine. I wouldn't necessarily say it would make it my favorite, but I would definitely say that there's a lot of respect that I have for that fight, especially the pre-nerf version. You know, where you could not have anything really at all off. Much off perfection because the timings between the stuns and the you know, the Amalgam explosions, and I mean just everything, man. It was such a, I don't even know if the guy really meant to have it designed that finely tuned, but you know, it was, and it was pretty fun. And
I wasn't a huge fan of the class stacking involved in that, but I mean it plays to my just how I like to play. I mean, everybody nicknames me Dr. Happy Feet because I'm always moving. Right, I'm always twitching. Like, I just have to do something. It seems like. So Spine, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Like, I can jump, I can grab bloods, I can intervene back to the off tank, and yeah, that's what I'm supposed to do.
So just out of curiosity, how far are you guys making it on Spine? You're on the 3rd plate yet?
7% on the tendon last night.
The final tendon?
Final tendon, yeah.
Oh man, that's
just
very close.
It was one of those things that it was kind of crushing and that it went down, and we had an attempt like right after where we burned the Spine to 35%, everything's going good, and then we killed the Amalg before it hit 9. We killed the 6th Amalg before it hit 9 stacks, and it just fizzled out and blew up, and that was
the GG almost, yeah. So,
yeah, it was done by then. So
what was I gonna say? The are you 10 or 25 is your guild?
Yeah, I mean we've stuck to the 25-man model, which I know isn't what a lot of. Like, I think right now for 25-man guilds in that middle area, it's pretty difficult because there's recruiting is so difficult in that. But I'm I'm a loyal guy, and I've never been able to go to 15 of my friends and be like, hey, you're gone.
Yeah.
You know, I gotta.
No, it's definitely pretty impressive, and I think spine is a little bit harder on 25 man by far. So I mean, it's just because there's just so much more going on. You know, I mean, it's not to take away from the 10-man version of it. I do both every week, and you know, it's 10-man still has its difficult parts, but just I don't know. I think the numbers in the 25-man are a little bit more demanding as far as like the tendons and stuff. So, but if you guys are able to replicate that, like you said, you almost had 2 kills last night. The biggest thing, and that's what guilds have to kind of stick with, is just it's all about being able to consistently replicate that. And I noticed like through my progression through the guilds that I've been in, I've only been in a handful, but coming from my old guild Duality and going to like Forlorn Legacy, one of the things that I would notice is in my guild, it was kind of like if you had a really good pull like that, you wanted to kill it because you just never really knew when you were going to get back to that point. You know what I mean? And like, then I get to Forlorn Legacy, and it's like, oh god, we had a good pull, and you could almost count on having another, good pull or so really fast. And then here in Blood Legion and whatnot, it's like, okay, once we see what needs to happen and like things like that, it's pretty much expected from the next pull forward. So. I mean, that's always really good to make sure that, people in your guild understand. It's just like, you see what needs to happen, now let's do it, and just execute. So,
Were you in FL was it during BC?
No, I was in Forlorn Legacy during Wrath of the Lich King, pretty much.
Because when I was growing up, basically what I said growing up raiding, I mean, I was watching videos from Forlorn Legacy and Last Resort and that kind of stuff. That's kind of what I compare what you guys are doing now. It's kind of just, like, for a long time, for the whole Wrath expansion, everybody was so tight-lipped with everything.
Mm-hmm.
Everything was hidden. And part of that, I guess, was because so many of those guilds, like Paragon and that kind of stuff, and others were pushing for that extra edge. But it was, in so many of those situations, it's who can find the little exploit first, right? And I just think it's badass that it's not going on now. So.
Well, I mean,
really,
to an extent, I mean, it's, I guess it's less, I mean, it's a lot. Well, I use the word transparent kind of lightly because, I mean, it is more transparent. People are more willing to give out information as soon as it's killed. Prior to it being killed, it's like the CIA almost. You've got like people, you've got like level 1 standing outside the instance door looking at raid comps and shit like that. I mean, it's like you have people sending you tells like, what % do you have it at? And it's like, who put people in ignore. I don't know. I mean, it's still a game of it's a chess match and all that. Every guild's trying to figure out what the other comp the guilds are using and things. But I definitely like the direction that it's going though. It's getting to be like more of a public viewing, like e-sport or whatever you want to label it.
Yeah, more community based. I really dig it.
And that's going to be pretty awesome, I think, in MOP with they're going to start with the 5-man time trials, and from there it's hopefully they end up getting it to raiding, where you have normalized raid gear and stuff. It's just 2 different animals though. You got progression raiding, and then you got the time trial stuff. But anyways, moving on from that, just we're gonna, I guess, pick it up from just going through your armory, doing like a quick audit like we would do on the tank Q&A, and just kind of like going over some of your item choices and you telling us how and why and things like that of what you're using. So I see here that your gymming focus is pretty much on full out mastery, which if anybody's been on the stream, you always hear me saying that's what a warrior should be doing. What is your reasoning though? Like, why do you go for the mastery build?
Well, so I mean, I know a lot of people say, yeah, hit the CTC cap and then build stamina or whatever. For the constant mitigation of a warrior, I think is its strength. It's not the same as a druid's strength, but I just really like the fact, mastery. It doesn't have a ceiling. I mean, I'm fully ready once we get to madness. I got a bunch of blue epic quality gems in the bank that'll get thrown right in there to take impales. But I think without having diminishing returns and being able to keep that kind of hold the line percentage and a half or whatever in dodge and parry, with mastery just getting stronger, it just makes sense. I mean, again, some fights you're gonna have trouble with it, or you'd like maybe a little more stamina on something. I don't know, maybe your Saj would be an example like that. But I think if you manage your trinkets, if you manage your cooldowns, use shield block, spellbreaker, or whatever it is in between, I think you're okay.
Yeah.
I think mastery just has the highest ceiling right now.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you there. And I also like the fact that you're going to go full outs, because that's pretty much what you have to do on Madness, is just drop the CTC cap from play, because it doesn't really matter. It's all about getting through that impale, and the stam is what's going to get you there. How often do you really? I see you're wearing the double stamp trinkets. How often do you really find yourself switching trinkets out?
You know, not very. I mean, obviously, Ultra, when we were learning, I had some DPS stuff in there. And I'll mess with mirror broken images. It kind of reminds me of Morose's pocket watch, right? Like it was that one thing you got at the beginning that you were using on Brutalis.
Yeah.
You know, the mirror broken images I feel is the same way. I'm using it on your Saj, still to make it easier, Zanaz, and that kind of thing. I have been messing with, you know, since you recommended the Resolve of the Undying for Spine, just to kind of push that extra dodge. I've been using that, which seems to help as well. But, I mean, aside from those, you know, you're pretty much... It'd be nice if I could get the heroic Indomitable Will to drop, I guess. But
Wait, what is the... which trinket were you saying I was recommending?
the dodge trinket for kiting, or for spine, for the bloods.
I'm trying to think.
I might have
I'm horrible with names. I don't know.
It's the Resolve of the Undying. It's like that. It's the one from Spine. Gives 88 dodge rating, and it's
Oh,
stacks
yeah, I got
10
you.
times.
Yeah, I'm terrible with names. So it's I don't know. My sister's always mad at me. Like, you don't ever, you know, same names and birthdays, man. That's not me. That's not me at all. I'm horrible with those. So yeah, that's maybe, yeah, I could see maybe Spine or something like that. You know, where you have so many mobs hitting you. You know, that it would maybe gain a little bit of viability, but yeah, that trinket's hard to fit in for the most part. You know, for most
And I
fights.
guess Stay of Execution, I'll be using that when we get to Madness too. So
Yeah, I've heard a lot of people actually use that. I haven't really done had any use for it. I want to be taking Madness Heroic on my Warrior this week, so for the first time. I've killed it on my Pally Druid Death Knight, but I haven't did it on my Warrior yet, so we'll see how that goes. I may end up picking that up and throwing it in there. Let's see, just looking over, let's see, you chose to go with Mastery on your boots instead of Lava Walker. It's a pretty good choice as a Warrior, just because you don't really have mobility issues as it is on a Warrior. And then it's the only other thing I would really see that could be in question here would be your weapon choice. Do you have a choice to able to switch between that and the Hand of Morchok, or no?
you know, I do occasionally. I found it just really depends. Like what I logged off on was the Soul Leader. That was it. So
Okay.
I mess with them both depending on the fight. I actually like the hand, but
Let's see. Just out of curiosity, the see your ranged weapon, the Deflecting Star, is I think the most mastery you can get if you're looking to maybe upgrade that. I mean, at the cost of like, 20 stamina or something, you could gain.
is it the gun from?
I have the 5-man gun, and it has 85 mastery on there. Let me actually look this up because I'm not sure off the top of my head, and I don't want to give you false info. Items, weapons. Let's look at guns.
Because I've messed around with that one actually from the 5-man, that quest reward or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mess with that, and I have unexpected backup too. It's just I was kind of bummed that the ranged weapon didn't have anything with mastery on it.
I'm just going to zoom through these real quick, make sure I'm not missing anything. I know that yeah, I'll have to look that up. It'll probably take me a bit. I don't want to spend the time doing it right now, but I will check that out and give you an answer on that. I think, though, that the Bronze Blaster thing from the 5-man is going to be your most mastery per item slot. I could be wrong, though, so you'd have to, don't quote me on that, but for some reason I'm thinking that. I don't know for sure, though. Anyways, moving on from that, or go ahead, sorry.
And I have unexpected backup as well for when I get for max stamina. So
Which one are you using for max stam?
the one from the 397 or whatever it is.
Oh, okay, yeah, the
badges or
VP.
whatever.
Yeah, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, let's see. Looking at professions, you got the JC blacksmithing going on.
I actually have the materials for engineering, which I was going to be switching to later today. just because I kept hoping that we'd have some kind of jewel crafting change.
Yeah.
You know, I guess it doesn't matter for most people because, you know, if you're not in a progression guild, you aren't stacking 50 of everything. You know, you don't have epic gems and everything, but I've had epic gems since like the second week or something like that.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, it's one of those, that or leatherworking. I like the utility of engineering a lot more. It's actually on my second warrior. So.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I definitely agree. I mean, especially if you watch the stream, you've heard me preaching engineering, because it's just...
Yeah, I saw the Zanaz move. So
yeah.
Sold there.
It's a pretty big deal. So this guy, go ahead and answer this question. This guy has in chat about warrior stuff. He says at 400 plus eye levels, I thought warriors and Protestants could start going with more stand than mastery. Yes, that's true for a paladin, but not really so much on a warrior. Just because on a paladin, once you get past your CTC cap, your mastery doesn't do anything for you on a paladin. That's why trinkets like Soul Shifter Vortex are not really that good on a paladin. And before you're like, oh, Rig, but you're using that on your pally. Well, yeah, I'm using it because it has a lot of stamina on it, not because of the proc. Yeah, so... but as you see here with this guy's warrior that we're checking out, I'm going to throw it in armory here. And the way that you kind of want to do it on a warrior is focus on mastery, because every bit that you have that passes 102.4 on a warrior, it's going to spill over into crit block, okay? And, you know, what makes that better? I mean, if you crit block something, that's 60% damage. That's more than any shield wall is even going to reduce. So the only thing that you're really going to be, the only thing that you're really going to be in trouble with on a warrior, you know, by gemming mastery, and the same thing could apply to a Death Knight, but a little more so on a warrior is just like you're prone to magic burst. But you know, it's it's not really, you know, you can kind of play around that and, you know, get around that with cooldowns and things like that. And it may require a little bit better play, but if you're able to do it, it's a better setup. And so hopefully that answers this question. All right, so we're gonna move on now to your just check out some specs. And I see here, or your spec, I see here that you've got it's pretty much the same spec I run, except let me double check what I have on my warrior right now. Yeah, okay, you've got the 2 points in safeguard, and you know, once I start doing heroics on the warrior, I'll definitely pick that up as well, because it's like you said, it's just too good of a talent to really not have. I do notice that you took the 2 points out of deep wounds to put those points in there. I see some people that actually take points out of shield specialization instead. I'm not really sure.
I actually had that first.
Yeah.
But I ran into a couple situations, especially on spammy fights, where you're using cleave a lot. Spine is a perfect example of not necessarily being rage starved, but I could pump out way more TPS and way more DPS and make a bigger difference if I could have that extra, you know, 10 rage per block coming in. It seemed to, I wasn't swimming in it, but I wasn't waiting, you know, to do a couple blocks.
Gotcha.
So I've messed with both, and I prefer the, like right now for sure, when we're progressing on it, the more rage the better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean,
yeah, and I know it's probably going to be. Have you really looked into any of the mist changes very much, or?
You know, I just got the beta last night. You know, I'm in the top 550K. Yeah, well, right. But I mean, I kind of like the way they're going, but at the same time, it's just started, so you know, we'll give it a little bit of time.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm gonna miss my vigilance for sure. But.
Yeah, I don't know, that avatar ability for a warrior. That's like, and it's 3-minute cooldown, but it just sounds. It's not even a defensive cooldown, but it still sounds so badass. You know, you turn into a huge, unstoppable colossus, and you know, like do insane. It's gonna be pretty cool to pop on the pull for a threat and things like that. So,
Yeah.
Yeah, but all in all, pretty solid spec. You know, you can't really mess up prot warrior glyphs, and those are pretty. Everything looks pretty solid. So, what we're gonna do now is, you know, moving on from the armory thing here, I'm gonna go ahead and put some of these links of your screenshots into the channel, and then we're going to kind of go over some of these. And okay, so we'll start with, let's see. Yeah, I'll go ahead and link this one in chat, and then they can check it out while we're checking it, and then we can just kind of go over your UI and things. So. Just looking at, I like how you've got your unit frames, and I mean, you've kind of got everything more or less centered towards the middle-ish area of your screen, so that's pretty good. just kind of walk me through like how you've got your stuff set up, like what are these power auras for, and things like that.
Well, the way it's set up is I know a lot of people use power auras. I just use Filger. It came with She-Stack, and I liked being able. You can edit it the same way. It's not as fancy, but the way that I like to have everything centralized like you're talking about, but I like to have the information in more than one place. So in case I'm looking at a different part of the screen, I'm trying to find another target or whatever, and I want to glance real quickly, I can do that. So you'll notice that like a lot of my buffs, like you're talking Thunderstruck and that kind of thing, Insight procs, Trinket procs, they're both like above where the enemy unit frame is, and then they're up in the corner as well. And then I actually have most of my bars showing in this screenshot as well. It's just because I like to double and to triple dip, just to be able to have the information in more than one place is handy.
Right.
It rolls my cooldowns actually just to the left of my own unit frame, of my character frame. That it holds cooldowns. I edited out a bunch of them like Revenge and Charge and that kind of stuff because that's usually not game breaking.
Right.
My big thing is I just like to have the information in more than one place. And when they do come up, like when Shield Wall comes up and stuff like that, there's a custom sound that comes with it, that type of thing, just to make sure.
Gotcha. So, what okay, so these cool. I think it's like Shield Wall, looks like maybe Commanding Shout, and then Rallying Cry, along with maybe Inner Rage, the one with 18 on it.
Yeah, it's got Inner Rage there too as well. You can see that the Inner Rage has got 18 seconds. The cooldown will be up in 18, and then if you look to the right, it's like got one of the buffs that are on me, and you can see that it's got 3 seconds left, so I can see both when it's going to end and then when it's going to pop back up. So.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. So it's okay, yeah. So this is what's active on you to your right, and then this is the cooldown stuff underneath here. Okay, got it. That's pretty cool. Yeah, you make sure you're tracking. Let's see, you got Rend, your Sunders, your T-Clap, your Demo. Was it Sword and Board proc, Thunderstruck? What is the one with the 2 on it to the left of the Inner Rage? Is that in?
I think that's Insight.
Yeah, so I was thinking. Yeah, and then what's the one to the right of Inner Rage?
That's just the Windwalk proc.
Okay, cool. And just curious, do you have anything that really tracks like outside buffs on your character, such as like Ancestral Fortitude, Inspiration, Ancestral Vigor,
kind of stuff.
Hand of Sac, and
yeah, it'll actually pop up in the same areas where my Shield Wall and Rallying Cry is right there.
Okay.
To the left, right above my character frame.
Yeah.
And then if you're looking the upper left, that's where like my raid leader stuff, the cooldowns are at. So I'll be able to see both my cooldowns and then like when like my Discipline Priest, when her pain stuff is up and that kind of thing.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's definitely always a sign of somebody that is pretty, because I mean people probably underestimate how important it is to have stuff like that on your UI and just being able to see what's what's on your character at any given time. I actually took a screenshot last night from our raid, and I was just gonna I knew we were gonna go over UI stuff today, so I was just gonna show a little bit about how I had mine set up for anybody that was curious, and then just you can see in both of our UIs, mine here and then his there. You see he's got both of these have a lot of what you need here centralized somewhat. Mine's kind of like in this area, and then his is kind of in this area. So I mean, it's either the point I'm getting at is, you guys, if you're looking at these UIs on the stream and you're like, well, I always wanted to improve my UI, the main thing that you want to go for is getting stuff out of, like, if you're one of those people that play with your unit frame in the top left corner or something like that. I mean, it's not that it's wrong. Whatever you can do, obviously, or if you're able to make do with it, that's fine. No one's really arguing that. But if you guys are wanting to improve your gameplay, and like I said, it's just like you can see it here on the one that I'm showing, and then the one that he provided, which is you have things organized in a very efficient location. That's the best way to put it. And you don't want to. The point of that is, or the reason for that is, you don't want to be looking. Especially as a tank in an environment like where it's not farm and everything's autopilot, say like you're doing progression spine and, your mental load is fully, maxed out. You're at max capacity on soaking in what's going on and things like that. You don't have the time to be looking up to your top left corner to monitor your HP. You need to have that in somewhere that you can kind of see while doing your job. So if any of you guys are curious about UIs, it's both of these are pretty good examples of how you should have it set up. Let's see. Yeah, I don't. Any other thing really that I'm assuming you have everything bound, right? On your It looks like most stuff is bound.
Yeah, it's all bound. Like I use Nostromo, so like the first 6 I leave alone, and then I've macroed. I used to like playing games for a long time. All my spells were always shift whatever, so I've kind of incorporated that thing. But it's just with the number pad, so or with the Nostromo.
Oh,
so,
dude, I am actually super. You're like probably my favorite Tank Talk guys so far. I use one of those. I'm gonna put my keyboard here in front of the camera, and this is what I use for mine. And the reason I say that I like him using the Norsdormu is it's kind of like the same thing that I've got going on with my keyboard.
Thing,
It's got
Man,
like
it took so long to learn. Oh, it was so bad for such a long.
It's I don't know. I really like it. I mean, a lot of people don't, and obviously it's not going to be like, oh, use this or you're bad, you know. But it's pretty awesome to have everything in such close proximity. Like I don't know. It just feels too smooth to be able to. I couldn't play on a normal keyboard. I really couldn't. I didn't even know when we did the live raid this year at BlizzCon. They were kind of telling me that I couldn't use my keyboard, and I was just like, no, you don't get it. Like, I can't play without this keyboard. Like, you can't expect me to do the live raid on a normal keyboard, because I've never even played with a normal keyboard. It'd be like playing blindfolded, but I ended up being able to use mine, so it worked out pretty well.
Yeah, I know I couldn't raid lead without it, just because you're able to kind of go on autopilot and that kind of thing, and muscle memory and that type of thing, and just reaction. I wouldn't be able to do a bunch of things that I'm doing at the same time and think on my feet if I wasn't really comfortable with with the rotation, that kind of thing. And just the gaming pad just makes that so much easier.
Let's see. Did that spine vid upload, or do you know?
I'm not sure. Let me find out right now.
Okay. While he's checking that, I'm gonna go ahead and get some logs up from these guys, and then put it in chat here, and we're going to go over some logs, and then after this we're going to open it up to questions that you guys may have for him, and then anything he's got for me or the stream, and then we'll go from there. So is this actually, this is from the 4th, so this is last night. That's awesome. So we're going to check out your guys' close wipes. I'm assuming it's the 11. Oh wow, you had a lot of 11-minute pulls. That's actually pretty good.
Last night was it was a really it was a fun time, because what you were talking about, we were able to replicate that like almost every time afterwards, which was, it's a real step in the right direction. We've become way more disciplined over the last, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that I've been watching your stream and stuff and incorporating. What I like about raid leading is that you can take different facets of what people do and kind of incorporate them to yourself. And one thing I've really harped over the last month or so is just hardcore, straight up discipline on farm content. Focus on that, get that done as quick as possible, and then it's just we've been able to replicate everything so much better.
That's awesome. That is so. What you got? Just out of curiosity, how many people in your guild actually check out the streams on the team page here from the BL guys?
Probably near 20.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah.
What I did when I saw your spine walkthrough after we killed Blackhorn, I made everybody watch it. I was like, all right, it's like an hour long. Here you go.
Yeah, it's
just focus on it and you get it down, and then we were just ready. And it still took a long time because that the fight is crazy. It's so disciplined. I don't have any idea how, when you guys were, just in the beginning when there's no room for error. It just boggles my mind that everything had to be precise. Like I was watching your world first kill, and you're talking the corruptions at 30k HP or whatever. And that's finally happening for us after 80 attempts or whatever it is. But
yeah, I just throw it. Ours was U.S. first. It wasn't world first. But the Ken Raiders beat us. I just those guys, man. I got mad respect for them, because it was just unbelievable that they pulled it out the way that we did. Because there's a whole backstory to that. We were doing the fight completely different than we ended up being able to do it, because they changed it.
Bloods and stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
That really sucks.
The reason that it was actually still hard is because you had to do 3 pops per plate, and it was just, there were so many bloods at the end, and it was it definitely was. People were like, oh, you can silence bloods, that makes it face roll. Well, no, not really, because we didn't have
it's a different type of face roll. That's
it's the thing that actually I kind of wish they didn't change, because it allowed you to take a suboptimal comp in there, and by suboptimal I mean not 7 mages and 7 rogues. You know, the first week that it was killing, and you know that was kind of like a mandated thing. But anyways, kind of going in here. I'm just going to pull through some of these. We'll go with the 1206 one, and then the 1146. So we're going to go with those two, and I'm just going to kind of check out some of the things about this. Did you? What was the status on that video? Did you? Is it?
It's only about 40%. It's not going to be done,
Oh,
unfortunately.
okay. No worries. No worries at all. All right. So what we're going to do here is, first off, let's check out your damage done. I'm going to play Mr. Critique here, and find out which of your DPS are sandbagging on the tendons. So what we're going to do is go to analyze damage done for the 1206 pull. Before we do this, I'm going to go ahead and go to, this is the way, anybody that's curious how to do, I mean, just watching stuff like this, you may think, well, what's the point of this? You guys are able to see kind of how to navigate World of Logs, some of the stuff that you would be looking for. You know, say like you're doing this fight on progression, you know, and there's probably a lot of people that are in this chat watching it, and you know, what you kind of things that you kind of want to look at are just, you know, say you want to, you know, right here we're looking at degradation. I want to see at what point of the fight they were at, you know, we want to see how many amalgams they had popped. So here's 1, then 2, 3, 4, and looks like they wiped, you know, on the 3rd plate basically, or either they didn't pop the 2nd plate in 2. On this
No,
one.
we got everything in 2. That's the one, I believe, where it only got 7 stacks and it died or whatever it was. Well, maybe not, because we still would have got the stack of degradation.
Yeah, we can actually check out how people are dying. Let's do that real quick.
I know one of our really long attempts, one of our rogues got pulled off on the first.
Oh yeah, this was just like Bloods killing everybody on this pull. So we are going to go to the other pull here, and then check this one out. So we're going to go back to where here. Basically, I'm looking for a 3 pop or 3 plate. Okay. Okay, so here we go. 6. Okay, so this looks like a really good pull. They had 6. They had 6 stacks of degradation. Well, it says 6, but it only shows 5. Whatever. All right, we're going to go with this one. Then we're going to check out. Right now, we're going to go to analyze and damage done, and we're going to check out who is doing work on these burning tendons for these guys. And just looking at it here, got these 2 rogues are dominating here, and it looks like you've got
a couple of our new recruits too that have come in and just owned up.
Just out of curiosity, the one here is, you got one of them that's a different spec, I think. Yeah, I'm not like super rogue savvy, but it looks like the Setzler LP guy.
Yeah, we were having a little bit of trouble with killing the Bloods actually that I was stacking up.
Mm-hmm.
So we had him go combat and just hung out on the Bloods with us.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Other than that, I mean, not really too much. And I mean, it just depends. Like some of you guys may see names on here and be like, "Oh my God, that guy's bad." I mean, you guys also got to understand there's people that are on this list that are probably assigned to doing stuff like, you know, breaking a stun if it's during, or then maybe they got like, you know, I mean, there's a lot of different variables that go into, you know, you can't just look at one pull as a sample size of, you know, the black and white. There's a lot of different variables to keep in mind, but it's just good to check out. I see you got 80k damage in. You also got a shattering throw up. That's what I was going to check for. So that's props on that. It's
I did that was on. I think it was the 1st or 2nd pop. We were a little bit behind, and it was just shockwave the Bloods or whatever. It's on. You zip over, throw it, and come back. You know?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. If you can ever, I know you're probably going to be kiting on a 3rd plate. What I would probably do, I know I did on my warrior, like you shockwave in the back, leap to the front, and then, you know, get a shattering throw up, and then get back D stance before they get to you, and you can get it up on that 3rd plate with lust as well. But
that'd be huge.
Yeah,
20% would be huge.
But I mean, definitely, it's not worth you know, dying, because if you die, it's pretty much you know, game over. So it's you know, feast or famine in that regard.
It wasn't a good feeling seeing all those aggro changes. Right, I did find out that being a night elf, you could actually shadow meld, which was pretty slick, though.
Oh wow, I never even thought of that. Oh my
God,
God, dude!
And shadow meld, and then they'd all run up.
And then you cancel it, and then they come back.
And then they come back. Yep.
Nerf that, dude! Wow, Alliance got a huge game of that. Oh, well, Arcane Torrent. Oh, wow. Watch out. Or I'll War Stomp like 5 of them. I mean, Jesus Christ. That's ridiculous. So, yeah, just going through some of his cooldowns here. Just going to check out, how often he's rallying crying. Looks like he did it twice, probably during the rolls, I'm assuming. That's when you're rallying cry. Yo. Are you there?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I was asking when you were rallying crying. Are you doing it on the rolls? Or?
I'm doing it on the rolls, both Rallying Cry and Shield Wall.
Okay.
We do that, and then we have Vamp Blood, and then our Feral Druid, who's doing the third off-tank job, he'll hit his 4-piece as well.
Gotcha.
And then our War coming out. So that's, 50% extra healing combined with 20% damage reduction, and, it's pretty...
Yeah, it makes the rolls pretty solid. It keeps you from falling behind with the
debuffs.
Yeah,
I really wait, like, on a couple of our attempts, like when I died, I completely, like, Shield Wall popped up, and I'm thinking 6 or 7 other things, and I didn't have it. I probably could have survived a little bit longer with the Bloods and bought us a little more time.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got some new notifications where that pops up, third plate, where I don't have to use it, where it's actually a cooldown for me instead of the raid, or, during that last pulse or something like that. It can really help out.
Yeah, I'm just going through some of your buffs, just checking out, like, looks like your shaman's actually doing a pretty good job keeping, between them and the priests, you actually had a really good uptime on AF and inspiration, so that's really good. How much attention are they really paying to you on that? Because that's a lot. I mean, is it really taking... How many healers are you guys using?
We're using 6. We're using 6. Both, like the Discipline Priest, alas, she's badass. There's always, I always have inspiration pretty much. It's especially that third plate where you can't necessarily just hang out in the healing rain type of thing. They just do an amazing job.
Mm-hmm. The reason I was saying, it's good that they're able to pay so much attention to you. I'm just saying, like, make sure that you are like, what's the best way to put it? Like, just make sure they're not putting too much. You know what I mean? Like, even if it's DPSing on the tendon and stuff like that, instead of trying to keep too much attention on yourself. Because to be honest, once you kind of get to the third plate, there's not a lot of damage intake compared to the other ones, just because the majority of the time that you're kiting.
If you get caught, it's usually game over.
Yeah,
anyways.
it's no healing really is going to help that out. Yeah, I see your HP buff. The shaman did a really good job keeping that active on you. Checking out your guys' cooldowns, pretty solid here. Actually, I'm going to see if... Okay, I can't really tell there. I was going to see how he was really using the VB in conjunction with the Bloods exploding and things like that. But all in all, it looks pretty solid. You guys are using a lot of your cities. I know you only really had 1 GS on you, and that was near the end. What is that guy? Or do you... is he using that on people with debuffs to get amplified healing on them to burn debuffs off quicker, or
I'm not exactly sure how they mess with it. We used to do it like when we were just learning the fight. We would do it on the tank as he was pulling the Amaug through all the Bloods, because then the damage goes through the roof. But I'm not quite sure how they're doing it right now. That's a really good idea, though. I hadn't thought of.
Yeah, just because to be honest, like, even whenever the tank is going to take a lot of spike damage, but if you've got the Bloods on the ground and then you pull it through. It depends. Say if it's you pulling it through, you can shield block. It's really not an issue. Or say it's like the druid. They can. The amount of damage isn't really going to be. If you've got a blood DK, it's a non-issue because he can almost death strike through. The damage for the most part of it. Having 9 stacks and whatnot, just because he has burst controlled mitigation. But yeah, it just depends. You guys are obviously. I wouldn't try to tweak much. You guys have got it going on. So I was just throwing out a little observation. Is like I only see 1 GS on you, and I'm not really sure where the rest are going. Yeah, pretty solid overall though. So you guys should probably. I'd be really surprised. Are you guys raiding tonight?
Oh yeah. Yep.
So yeah, you guys should be able to pull a kill out, no problem. To be honest. Cool beans. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is, or did you have any other? Did you want me to check out anything in specific on this spine log? Or no?
Not really. I think we've got, like I said, a lot of it has to do with the fact that we've we kind of did our homework as we were learning it. We had it's always rough at the end of an expansion, you know, if you're not a top level guild with attendance issues and that kind of thing. But I mean, we're all set pretty much for it. We just have to execute it, which is it's a fun feeling to have when you reach that point and when you're duplicating it, and knowing you just have to push it a little bit farther. It's you know,
yeah,
it's cool to see a guild growing that way.
Oh, definitely. I definitely agree with you there. Okay, so I guess what we'll do at this point is we'll let you kind of ask any questions you have for me or the stream, and then you know, anything that the stream has while he's going over any of the questions that he might have come up right now. You guys post any questions that you want to ask either to me or him, and then we can kind of go over those, and then we'll kind of do a wrap up and go over anything that you know is still, you know, loose ends. So you know, as far as you go, did you have any questions? I know you mentioned something about like the guild stuff.
Yeah, I had a question. Like, I know that when BL went through like tier 11, tier 12, and 13, you did your just kind of, you went from being a top 50, top 20 U.S. guild to being the number 1. And, you know, I mean, it culminates with that just badass spreadsheet of 6 freaking heroic or 6 regular clears the first week, you know, ridiculous amount of effort into it. And I've asked you before on the stream if you just kind of, if it was like, hey, this is what we're doing, or if it was more of just a transition thing. How did that, like, were you guys running just one group in T11 and then kind of expanded that into T12, or how did you reach that point? You know, my guild's never going to, you know, we're never going to be, you know, top 50 U.S. or anything like that, or, you know, top 1 or 2 U.S., but we do take it seriously, so I'm always looking at ways to kind of improve it. How did you kind of migrate toward that multiple raid group type of thing?
Well, I mean, you know, it's not like, I mean, BL has kind of always been in the top 10 or 15 U.S. pretty much since vanilla, you know, so it was kind of like, but what a lot of people don't understand is, you know, the difference between being a top, you know, 50, a top 25, and then going from like top 25 to top 15, and then even from top 15 to the top 5. I mean, there's just such a huge difference, you know. I mean, it's something I didn't really understand coming from my, you know, I used to run my own guild, and I would always think like, you know, as long as you're in the top 10, what difference does it make? But, you know, it never really clicked, and, you know, like whenever you kind of get there, it's kind of like, wow, man, you know, the difference between number 10 and number 1 is just, it's exponential, you know. But to answer your question, kind of how it worked is, I mean, it was, the thing with BL during tier 11 and kind of what contributed to the tier 12, you know, shaky finish, but, you know, and what it kind of came to fruition this tier is, I mean, you know, we had a complete leadership change. I don't know if any of you guys have watched, you know, the Race the World First trailer that Ararat and Lollipop were both part in. You know, that's kind of like a lot of what was going on in the guild, I guess, at the time. I joined at the end of Wrath of the Lich King, you know, during Ice Crown, and you know, I was kind of like you know, I came from being a raid leader in Forlorn Legacy and came over here, but just kind of what it came down to was, you know, during tier 11 there was just a huge rift, you know, like you had a lot of the guild that wanted to be more hardcore, and you had a lot of the guild that didn't want to be so hardcore, you know, and it was like, it was just this constant friction, you know, within the guild, and I mean, we had a lot of stuff go our way, kind of, as far as, you know, being able to get better people in. I mean, recruitment is the lifeblood of any guild, you know, and I mean, like, you know, if you're wanting to get better, it starts with that, and you've more or less just got to get the right people in there with the right goals. You know, the roster right now compared to BL's roster in tier 11, I'd probably say there may be, like, you know, probably half the roster has changed, to be honest with you. It may be up to that. I'd have to get a definite number, but you know, if you're wanting to make that next step with your guild, as far as like, you know, we need to, you know, we're not looking to be number 1. I mean, people got to understand that it's baby steps. You know what I mean? It's got to be, you got to, you know, have realistic expectations and understanding of what's, you know, you're not going to be in there and just, you know, the same thing goes, you know, going into tier 13 for us. We're like, we're going to go as hard as we can, but you don't want to say like, you know, we're going to be the absolute best, you know, because you always got to keep it. You know, it's never going to come easy, and it's always going to take a lot of hard work, dedication, discipline, all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, it's kind of just there's no one way that I guess I could. You know, there's not one thing I can point to kind of answer that. I mean, it's just the overall. I guess if you did have to pinpoint it, it would be just making sure everybody's on the same sheet of music, and just making sure everybody understands the goals, and that's kind of what was outlined during the turnover of the, you know, leadership in the guild altogether. And then going into tier 13, it was very concrete, established. People knew what raid hours were going to be. People knew the goals. People knew what it was going to take to get there. And, you know, there was no, you know, that's why I always harp so much on, it's not a, you fight like you train like you fight, and if you want to use the less violent expression, it's, you practice like you play and you play like you practice, I mean, it's just like, it is what it is, and you can't expect to go in there every week and have people fucking off and just expect to go in there on progression and flip a light switch and then stuff goes smooth. It just doesn't work like that, I mean, we have plenty of fun when we're raiding, but during that, 3 and 4 hours a night, 3 times a week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, those are our main raid nights, and during those 3 raid nights, during the 3 and 4, hours that we're online, you just got to expect people to, be serious. And I'm not saying that's the only way to do it, but, from my opinion, that's the way that I wanted to get it done, and that's kind of what we ended up doing. I'm not sure if that is kind of like went on a tangent there, but maybe that addressed it a bit.
No, yeah, it does. I mean, like I said, we've kind of gone from, it was just, instead of just running one raid finder group or whatever, we went, we didn't have the people and we didn't have the alts to do 2 full, regular clears, but we did break it up into a couple raid finders, get tanks, healers, 4 pieces and stuff like that. And I guess that's just what you're talking about, moving in the right direction and keeping everybody on the same page. Yeah,
and I mean, the biggest thing also is just, you got to stay consistent with it, you know what I mean? Like especially from a leadership standpoint, you can't go in there one day and be supermoto and like, I mean, it's got to fit with, I mean, it's got to fit with both you and it's got to fit with the guild. And I mean, you got to get that chemistry going. That's always the hardest part, is just being able to consistently have that. And once you get it, you're good, but it's definitely a long and hard road to get it there. And that's why it's kind of like, that's kind of why, there's a reason that you see the same guilds at the top, and I'm not even talking, I'm talking about like, I mean, much respect to guilds like Paragon and stuff. I mean, they're able to replicate, really solid finishes. And what I mean by that is, like top 3 world pretty much for the past couple years, and before them it was Nihilum and Insidia and things like that. I mean, like, there's a reason that the same guilds are up there, and it's no coincidence.
Yeah, I think raiding is really hitting a really good spot right now. It's fun to be involved with. I noticed that success tends to breed a lot of those things, which I really, really enjoy. It's easier to get a little bit of a bench and to say, hey, can you sit out for this boss, when you're killing new bosses, when you're progressing on very difficult bosses, as opposed to, hey, you want to sit out this farm night, we just wiped 6 times on Zanaz, right?
Mm-hmm. Cool, but yeah, I mean, that's definitely a good question. I really like, I mean, I don't know, just, I've only talked to you, for about an hour now, and I can already tell that, I mean, like, you're a GM or an officer of your guild currently?
I'm the GM, yep.
Okay, yeah, I definitely, I mean, sound like you've got a good, show going there, so it would be, definitely, a lot of potential there with your guild in the future. That's just, I mean, like I said, very little knowledge of it, but that's just a first impression that I have, at least. But, let's see, let's see, anybody in the stream, I want to make sure I didn't miss any questions here. Kind of got off to talking about that for a minute. I don't really see anything in specific, so what about any other questions? I guess even in your guild, if they've got any. I know that I saw them hopping around in chat a bit, if they've got anything.
The only other thing I had was about the warrior rotation, really. And that's, do you ever weave in Conch Blow or Shockwave if you've got 3 stacks of Thunderclap or anything like that, or a Thunderstruck going on?
I mean, I do. I'll be the first to admit, though, like, as far as theory crafting on my warrior, like, to the point of, is it optimal? I'm not the math guy, you know what I mean? But, whenever I've got 3 stacks of Thunderstruck, I throw out Shockwaves on single target just because I'm pretty sure it's the way to go, because, I mean, that shit can hit pretty hard with 3 stacks, and it's going to hit harder than, say, like, a Devastate or something. So I weasel them in there.
I kind of do it when I can. And the only other thing was, like, I've been doing a lot of reading, and I've been messing with it a little bit. I can't see a real big difference, but, like, as a foe, letting Rend fall off and then reapplying it, rather than applying it through Thunderclap, I was wondering, is that something you've messed with, or, because it's supposed to be a little bit more damage if you let it fall off just for the initial tick.
Oh, I haven't actually heard that. So that would be, yeah, I couldn't answer that for you, to be honest. I don't see why it would be, because you're keeping T-Clap up anyway for your slow on the boss, unless you've got a DK in the raid. So.
You have to wait, like, almost, because I'm using Thunderclap, maybe not on cooldown, but I usually get 2 stacks of Thunderstruck in between, when the Rend would normally fall off. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if...
Yeah, what, speaking of which, I mean, what is your what site do you go through to your Warrior Theory crafting and stuff?
I hang out on EJ a little bit, but to me it seems like I'm just arguing with people that aren't quite sure what they're talking about. I spend a lot of time just on general forums and method forums a lot of time. They've usually got in-depth guides and that kind of thing. And what I'll do is I'll actually just talk to people. Like I'll make alts on servers, and some people will blow you off. Right? I could jump and say, hey, let me talk to this guy from Vodka or whatever, and maybe he'll help me, but then I'll go to another guild or whatever. That's kind of where I learn my stuff, really. You know? Gotcha.
Yeah. It's definitely, if there was one area of my game I need to work on, it's definitely like the math portion. I mean, like it's just, Zonker is like our main math guy. I know you guys have heard me say it on here. Him and Shinafei, they're like both of our math elites. We're like, hey, this is, these are the numbers, what's best, and then they tell us. So it's kind of like, we've got our own little
math
I do that bots.
With my UI. Yeah. I was like, this is what I want my UI to do. I'll ask, can you do this for me? Yeah. That's what I'd like you to do. Just show me the code, and I'll put it in there and do it.
Pretty much, yeah. Okay, so cool stuff, man. I'll tell you what, if you've got any questions at any point, you've already got me on Skype. I want you to not hesitate whatsoever, just to hit me up. I don't care what it's really about, and we'll I'll let you try to answer anything that you've got as far as questions. But
yeah, I really appreciate that, dude. I know the only issue we'll probably have is I'm a big Denver Bronco fan, so
oh god,
I'm
man,
psyched about the Manning thing right now.
It hurts. It hurts. But yeah, good stuff, man. I know. Again, thanks for hopping on here today. I know it was short notice as of yesterday, but it turned out pretty good. And I'll have it uploaded on YouTube if you want to, have anybody in your guild check it out. I know that's pretty cool stuff for that. So yeah, thanks
a lot.
Yeah, no problem, man. And have a good day. Make sure to let me know if you guys kill Spine. Just hit me up in Skype.
Absolutely. Okay, man. Well, we're recruiting one healer too, so
okay.
People should stop by our website and check it out. But hey, thanks a lot, dude. I appreciate it.
No problem. And stay motivated. Have fun in the marshal service. But I'll catch you around. Yep. Later. Okay, so that's that with him. We're another say it again. Another thanks goes out for him for hopping on here and doing the Thursday show and whatnot. But like I said, worked out pretty good. Went over a lot of cool topics and things like that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. This is an every Thursday thing. If you got if you're a tank that wants to be on here, or if you know a tank that you want to tell them to be part of it, just have them go to the Reddit link at the bottom of the page and click that, and we will we'll set it up. I got to do as long as beta permitting and rating permitting. This is an every Thursday deal. And just make sure they've got Armory link, UI link, some logs, and videos are cool if you got some of those. We can walk through those, but as you can see today, it's not even really a necessity at that point. So yeah, try to have anybody that you have interested sign up on the Reddit thread. It's at the bottom of the stream. But if you guys are new here, we got a decent amount of people. You got over 300. I get the red headband on during the raid tonight, so you guys make sure raid's coming up in less than an hour. I'll be rocking the headband during the raid because you guys got the viewers. Okay, so make sure you guys stay around for that. It's just gonna be some sales runs, heroic sales runs. Not a ton going on, I don't think. Actually, no. As you were, we actually have a lot going on tonight. We have heroic sales runs, and then we also have some tier 11 full content clear. Those are always fun because we've got a ton of buyers in that run. Sometimes up to 5 buyers in 10-man content. So. We're basically 5-manning some of the tier 11 content. It may seem easy, but you put 5 buyers in the mix, and it goes from easy to nerve-wracking very quickly. But let's see. Yeah, that's what's going on for the rest of the day. Like I said, coming up in less than an hour. And make sure if you guys are new here, hit the follow button on the stream. And I also want you guys to do me a favor. Okay, I'm going to link my YouTube, and I want you guys to subscribe to this. Please take 30 seconds out of your day and subscribe to my YouTube. That's all I'm asking you. I'm going to do every one of these. I do shows on this every day, and I upload every one of these onto my YouTube. And it's not a lot for you guys to ask. It's not a lot to ask from you guys to just help me out, follow that. I get a little bit of payment from you guys checking out the videos on YouTube, views and things like that. So thanks again, and hopefully you guys enjoy the show. I'm going to chill out a little bit before the raid. And, yeah, I'll be back. I'm not going to turn the stream off, but I'm just going to hop in and mumble. You guys are more than welcome to hang out as well. But get the raid started in less than an hour. And thanks again for him hopping on here. And you guys, thanks for watching. Good talk.